What's popping, everybody? It's your favorite human. Me. Well, if I really am a human. Speaking of asking what it means to be human, Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day just came out, and I'm going to review it now. Based on the trailer, this movie looks like a pretty dark and serious drama about aliens and government secrets and stuff. While I would say that this movie has a pretty serious tone, it's definitely got an energy to it that I wouldn't call fun so much as easy to get into and able to be enjoyed by anyone. Although it's very much taking place in today's world, this movie feels like a classic Steven Spielberg movie that would have come out in the 80s or 90s. The opening scene starts right in the middle of the action with these bad guys coming after this device and this big chase happening. It reminds me of Indiana Jones, although with a bit of a less jokey tone. The way that things are blocked, the way he decides to shoot things, the cool locations and set pieces, all of these are components that make up any of those classic Steven Spielberg blockbusters, and they're very present in this film. Yeah, he's still got it. And also, John Williams did the score. That's pretty cool. I thought he was retired after Dial of Destiny. If this is truly his last score, then I think it's more fitting for a legend like John Williams to finish with, even if it's not as memorable or as good as a lot of his music, but you know, it gets the job done. I don't mean to be that guy, but this movie really made me think, man, they just don't make them like they used to, do they? Obviously, I don't mean they don't make good movies these days, because good movies come out all the time if you're looking for them. What I mean is that they don't make movies with fun chases and jumping off cars and stealing cars and driving cars off cliffs. Wow, I didn't realize how much cars were in this movie. This movie is simultaneously nonstop go, 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 and really taking its time in a good way. The whole span of the movie only takes place over about 2 days, with us just having met these characters and only getting a small glimpse of their daily lives. And yet, it doesn't feel like things happen too quickly or are rushed in any way. Although, I will say that the characters are probably the weakest aspect of this film. The main two that we focused on for most of the movie are well written and likable, but we only get a small look into who they are as people. The conflict of faith with the one girl is really cool, and I think it was kind of supposed to represent humanity's existential fear that would naturally come from the discovery of extraterrestrial life. Unfortunately, I feel like that conflict was kind of resolved really easily when her nun friend told her that she'll still believe in God even if aliens exist. It felt a little sudden, even if it did have a really good line at the end that made me go, ooh. And after that scene, that girl kind of disappeared from the story for a while, because I guess she didn't really have much to do after that. I think the whole crisis of faith aspect explored through her character was a great idea. I just wish that they explored it more thoroughly. I do like the concept of the bad guy using the device to control her in order to get the information, and what they do with that is pretty cool and creative. And the main guy we follow is a pretty decent protagonist. The actor does a great job playing this person who's burdened with knowledge and constantly on edge from being on the run. Although I gotta be honest, he kind of has even less going on. Really, his only motivation is to get these government secrets out to the world, and the movie doesn't have a whole lot of interest in exploring his character or using him as a representation of humanity like his girlfriend. It's not that these characters are bad or anything, they get the job done. I just feel like they could have done a bit more, but that's fine. Where the movie really excels is with Emily Blunt's character, who sort of becomes the main protagonist halfway through. Her character starts having this strange ability to speak other languages and see inside people's thoughts or whatever, and you can really tell that this thing is kind of tearing her apart, but at the same time, a big blessing in a way. Throughout the film, she's in denial that she's like a savior of any kind and doesn't want to be part of this world-changing event. The journey that her character goes through to accept this is the strongest and most moving part of the movie, besides probably the ending. And Emily Blunt is so good at portraying this inner turmoil that her character goes through. She can be both fun and very traumatized and be the same character. There's a scene where she has like a panic attack, and it's very well acted. I also think it's worth mentioning that her boyfriend is a good character as well. He kind of acts like a jerk, but I like how he's not necessarily a bad person. He's just kind of content with his life and not willing or able to see what Emily Blunt is going through. He calls the hospital to come get her because he thinks she's going crazy and just wants to do what he thinks is best for her. I think that character is important as a representation of people who just can't see anything beyond our everyday normal reality. He doesn't know that he's in the middle of something huge. He just wants to not move and stay in the same city. Like, That's about it. Like I mentioned a little bit before, this film has Steven Spielberg's DNA all over it. It's really well directed. I love a lot of the camera work here. There's some cool tracking shots and one takes that Steven Spielberg loves to do, including one example which I thought worked very effectively. It was a scene where the guy was sneaking around and about to steal a car, and the camera very steadily follows him before rotating around the car and like gliding into the passenger seat. It was very smooth and did a great job of communicating the pressure of the moment. I also loved the more intense adventure parts, like where their car gets smashed into a train and they have to jump off the car onto the train. It was such a well executed set piece and properly very intense. Great stuff. And there's just a fantastic scene near the end that gets pretty abstract. And what he does is very cool and interesting. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it. But I also really like the focus on eyes and changing eye color during that scene. I'm a big fan of eyes in terms of like aesthetic and the meaning behind them in movies. That scene is great apart from some weird looking CGI animals. Honestly, that's probably my biggest issue with this movie as a whole. Whenever there's CGI animals, they look really weird and kind of pull me out of it. I get that it's like hard to do and they're gonna look a little off no matter what, but I don't know. It pulls me out a little bit. I said before that this movie has Steven Spielberg's DNA all over it, and I didn't just mean in terms of directing style. Although I would say this is probably one of his darker movies, you can definitely see his sense of wonder and overall optimism. The existence of aliens is scary, yes, but it's also incredibly beautiful, as Coleman Domingo's character says. There's a very spiritual fascination with the discovery of life that dominates the darker aspects of the film. And I don't mean this as a criticism at all. I feel like we need some good old Steven Spielberg optimism in our world right now. Things are scary and looking pretty bad, but there's something beautiful right in front of us, you know? Alright, I'm gonna spoil the movie now, because I can't properly review this movie without talking about the ending. So if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend you skip to this time in the video. The ending of the movie is honestly pretty incredible. The way that the entire world just stops to go, wait a second, this is important. I like how once the broadcast starts, the bad guy just sits down and watches, accepting it. And when we see this random newscast lady and she starts giving commentary or whatever, her performance was like really good out of nowhere. When she saw the alien for the first time and just stopped talking, I felt that. It's such a life-changing, humanity-defying event that even this professional news person who has seen all these crazy things in the world just loses the words to describe how she feels. And then when she tries again to like regain her composure and starts saying, "I'm sorry, I don't know what that was," I got chills and almost started crying. Even writing the script, I was like, ooh, man, that was a good moment. And we see the faces of the people watching the news all over the world, some scared, some mystified, some not sure how to feel. And then that nun lady with like a knowing smile on her face. Just wow. It was a great ending, and it made me feel the big feelings. And I had to sit and watch the credits and just think through and process what I had just watched. I think what Steven Spielberg is trying to get at is that our world is so crazy and everybody's fighting, but we just need to stop and look at the simultaneously terrifying and beautiful truth that we're so small and so clueless about our place in this universe. Is this an optimistic ending or a frightening ending? Well, I guess it depends on who you are, on what you believe. This movie was really good, extremely well made, and pretty profound. Although I had some issues with it, I think that the overall feeling and the thoughts it's giving me is enough to make me confident in calling it a really good movie. I'm gonna give this a solid 8 out of 10. As always, let me know in the comments what you thought of this movie, if you've seen it, whether you agreed or disagreed with me. Give me some constructive criticism and tell me how I can improve as a guy who makes videos and reviews movies. And lastly, what's your favorite salty food? Thanks for watching. Goodbye.